Welcome back to the channel. What's going on, my peeps, my JJK scholars, as one would say? You already know. Alright, so what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Hope everything's going well. Hope everybody's thriving in life. You know, this economy ain't the best, so you know, gotta hope the best for everybody. But let's talk about today's video. All right, so I already covered episode 0. I'm trying to go in order, right? You know what I realistically should have done? What I realistically should have done was cover season 2, Gojo's backstory, then episode 0, then season 1, then the rest of season 2. Realistically, what I should have done. However, we already covered episode 0, so we might as well cover season 1, because I've been talking about covering season 1 for I don't know how long. So let's go ahead and cover season 1. But before I do me the favor, rack up them subscriptions, because you know 10K subscriptions is what we're shooting for by December. You feel me? So like we're at what, 128, maybe a little bit more, I don't know, but we gotta hit 10K. So hit that subscribe button. While you're at it, like the video, comment, share it, you know, do everything. Might as well, right? You're already here, might as well. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so season 1 explained. Cool. So season 1, we start off with our cast. I mean, realistically, you don't start off with the entire team like you do, like I forget if Naruto started off with the entire team or not, or if you saw him like episode 10 or something like that. But basically, I think it's like episode 3 or 4 that we see the entire team get together. So you're looking at a team just like Naruto. You're looking at basically Team 7 with you know, Gojo, Megumi, Itadori, and Nobara. So that's our main cast right there, with Yuji being our MC. I'm kind of just gonna talk about those 4 real quick, and then I'm gonna like quickly move through what's going on, because I don't want this to be like an entire detailed, you know, breakdown of every single thing that happened. But I want you to get the gist of what happened in season 1, so that if you missed it and you just watched season 2, or if you want to know what's going on, like if you're like trying to get back into JJK and you're like, oh man, like I don't remember what happened in season 1, then watch this video. You're gonna get like a 20-minute gist of what season 1 is, and then you're gonna be like all caught up for season 2 and then 4. All right, then yeah, that's the word. All right, cool. Anyways, so Yuji, MC, he swallows Sukuna's finger, which basically incarnates Sukuna back into him. There's a whole plot line with that, but basically that's all you gotta know, is that he's really strong, really fast. He's got like a heavily restriction body, even though he doesn't have heavily restriction. They talk about all that as the show goes on. But he has cursed energy, terrible control of it. Basically, you're an average MC, where it's like he started at the 0, he's got potential, and he gets a good sensei that works him up until he's like the strongest. Cool, got it. Megumi, he's your star pupil. He is really good at cursed energy control and manipulation. He has the 10 shadows technique, which is basically one of the strongest Zenin inherited techniques that you could have. He is pretty much the GOAT when it comes to being a sorcerer. However, he lacks confidence, and he's not as outgoing when it comes to attacking and whatnot as Yuji is. Yuji's a lot more, you know, like if he was a Nen user, he'd be an enhancer, strictly off the fact of his personality being so like gone, where he just charges into things. Where Megumi is definitely more of a Killua type. So basically a transmuter, you feel me? And it kind of makes sense with what his 10 shadows technique is. Anyways, Nobara, she's kind of like in the mix of it. She's goofy, but also like serious. Intelligent, but also kind of like doesn't mind putting herself in danger if she thinks that she has a higher chance of winning the battle, something like that. So she's cool. She's a good character into the group. Her technique is resonance, which she'll get her own video and you'll be able to find out more about her technique. But it has something basically to do with affecting the soul of the opponent, which is cool. It's kind of like a running theme in this show. And then the other guy's Gojo. He's literally the strongest character in the show, up to a certain point. But it's so far ahead. It's like towards the end of the show where he could be described as maybe not the strongest, but also maybe the strongest still. It's kind of like a debate, basically, on if he is the strongest or not at that end of the show. But all you gotta know is he's the strongest character. There's a reason in season 2 they had to seal him, because they couldn't unalive him. So yeah, he's a good, I was just about to say he's a good teacher. I would have been lying to you. He's not a good teacher, but he is a good person to the students. He cares about the students, put it that way. All right, so that's basically the 4 characters that you're gonna follow and that you need to make sure that you know moving forward in the show. Other than that, let's talk about the first big thing. There's like 6 big things that happen in season 1. All right. First thing is Sukuna incarnates. Basically, Megami and Yuji are put into a situation where they cannot win a fight, mainly because 1, Megami is wounded, 2, Yuji doesn't know anything about Jujutsu sorcery yet, so he doesn't really know how to fight a curse yet, and he doesn't have cursed energy, nor can he control cursed energy, because he does have it, he just didn't know how to control it or bring it forward, so he couldn't exercise a curse. So that being said, since Megami was down, he had a choice of either swallowing Sukuna's finger, which is different in the manga and the anime. Both the scenes are different because Yuji was like in the curse's arms, but in the manga he was just standing like without like the curse bothering him yet. Sorry, there's gonna be a weird cut. I thought I had a sneeze, didn't end up sneezing. Anyways, so basically he had a choice between eating the finger of Sukuna, which is technically a cursed object at this point. So since it's a cursed object, he could swallow it, gain cursed energy, because that's what the curses are trying to do. They're trying to eat it so that they gain more powerful cursed energy. He did. Sukuna incarnated, which basically means Sukuna, who was a sorcerer who lived 1,000 years ago, came back to life in the form of Yuji. So now Yuji is a vessel to Sukuna, and it's basically like Naruto. Naruto has a Nine-Tails Fox inside of him. Yuji has Sukuna inside of him. Sometimes the Nine-Tails takes over Naruto, and then Naruto grows the whisker fangs and red eyes. Sometimes Sukuna takes over Yuji, and then Yuji, which only happened 3 times the entire time that he was the vessel of Sukuna. But sometimes Sukuna will take over Yuji, and he'll like swap forms with him, like basically like have tattoos and whatnot, get claws, and yeah, just be Sukuna. That being said, Sukuna incarnated. Now he's back in the mix. Now they have to figure out what they want to do with the fact that Yuji now is a vessel to Sukuna. Are they going to keep him alive, or are they going to execute him? And it's a whole big thing throughout the show, but basically Gojo has him under the same protection that he did with Yuta. That being said, he is targeted throughout the show, but he gets stronger as the show progresses, and he's able to defend himself. Now, moving on to the second big thing that happened was the prison rescue mission. So the prison rescue mission, which I don't know if it was actually called that or not, however, that's what I'm going to refer to it as. This is when you first see a special grade curse. So if you don't remember, there's grades 4 through 1, and then there's special grade, which is the strongest that you could beat, whether you're a sorcerer or whether you're a cursed spirit. Sukuna, special grade. Gojo, special grade. Yuji, at this point, I think he was a grade 3. I think that they initially assessed him as a grade 3. Yeah, so Yuji and his crew, except for Gojo, because Gojo was sent on another mission. Yuji and his crew go into this prison. They're supposed to rescue any survivors there. They don't know what grade the curse is, but they're assessing that I think it was a grade 2 is what they said that they expected to be. Turned out to be a special grade. Nobara gets captured by a curse. Megami runs away because Yuji holds off the special grade long enough. Holds off the special grade long enough for him to run away to save Nobara. Once he does save her and gets out of the incomplete domain, which they are in its incomplete domain, the special grade fights Sukuna because Yuji switches with Sukuna. But since he switched with Sukuna, when Sukuna didn't say, okay, I want to switch, then Yuji has to face the repercussions with basically like, in a sense, kind of a binding vow. Now he's being punished. He can't switch back immediately like he normally would have. If it was an agreement between them saying like, hey, I want to switch and you want to switch, then he would be able to take control right away. But since it was one-sided, the way that curse energy works is like you can't do that. You have to face some repercussion. So Yuji basically had to wait until Sukuna, like a certain amount of time passed, basically. That being said, Sukuna took care of the cursed spirit, but then also went after Megami. Megami and Sukuna fight. Sukuna finds interest in Megami at this point because he sees his skills and his technique. He really likes his technique. He's thinking about how he could be Gojo, so he's scouting basically for what he could use versus with everybody around him, seeing if he could take any of their techniques. That being said, Megami almost summons Maharaga on him. He doesn't. Sukuna. Oh yeah, the reason that Yuji could not take over Sukuna sooner is because Sukuna actually took over Yuji's body and ripped out his heart, so that way he could take him hostage. Basically saying like, hey, if you do switch, when it's your time to switch, then guess what? you're gonna unalive yourself because I just ripped out your heart. I'm not healing it. So that's why they were fighting, because Megami wanted to force him to heal. Yeah, he was outclassed. There was no way that was gonna happen. That being said, Yuji did switch, and then Yuji went into a pseudo unalive mode where Sukuna kept him alive in his innate domain even without a heart, and basically made him go into a binding vow that he could switch with Yuji if Yuji if Sukuna ever said enchained, Yuji was like, oh, okay, like now I have to let Sukuna take over for a minute, and he can't hurt or unalive anybody within that minute. That being said, it only comes up once, and it's a big deal when it does come up. But your volume's away from that, so don't worry about it. Other than that, I think that's all that really happened in the prison rescue mission. I mean, Yuji, he basically made the deal because he's an idiot, and he underestimated Sukuna's strength. And then because Sukuna was like, okay, what if like we fight to the death and like, you know, I beat you, will you do the binding vow then? Because Yuji didn't want to do it at first. He wanted to be brought back to life without conditions, and Sukuna beat him like instantaneously, and then they went into the binding vow. And I'm just like, bro, you could have just negotiated better. You really could have. Like, you really could have. Come on. That being said, that's how the prison rescue mission stuff went. After that, we got introduced to Gato, Pseudo Gato, and the disaster curse spirits, including Mahito. We got a gist of where Jogo and them scale, and in terms of Sukuna fingers, really just Jogo. But then Jogo versus Gojo, one-sided fight. I don't think we learned that Gato was really Kenjaku for a little bit, but you knew because of the stitches. You knew that wasn't Gato. Oh my god, did we not actually, like, if you were anime only, did you not learn that till season 2? I don't remember. But you know, in episode 0, Gato's no longer with us, so I don't know. But yeah, that basically they talk, they communicate, they start hatching a plan to seal Gojo. Yeah, that's basically the gist of what they plan out in season 1 comes to life in season 2. So you get to see it on the big screen, okay? Next up, we get our rivalry starting off with Mahito and Yuji. Great. Fantastic, man. Mwah. Mahito really takes advantage of Junpei, which is basically a kid who turns curse user that he was manipulating and that Yuji befriended. And they just strung him along, and Yuji fell right into it. And then they were basically trying to get Yuji to break his spirit so that he would do a binding vow with Sukuna to let Sukuna take over, because they want Sukuna on their side, because Pseudo Gato basically said that the only ways you guys can win, the only way that the disaster curse spirits can win, is if you A, take Gojo out of the picture, and B, get Sukuna on your side. Those are the only two ways you can win, and they both have to happen. That being said, this was their plan to get Sukuna on their side, because they weren't going to try to get Gojo out of the picture till October 31st. They already decided that. So now all they can do, since they have a set date, before that date comes, all they can do is try to get Sukuna on their side until that date comes, right? So they try multiple times to get Yuji to make a binding vow with Sukuna. It just doesn't work, because Sukuna already planned ahead and basically did that. So now he's just watching them do their thing, and he doesn't really care. He kind of enjoys the fact that they're messing with Yuji, though, because he doesn't like Yuji whatsoever. Which I am going to do, I just actually thought about this today, is I'm going to do a video describing the people Sukuna respected, because there's actually a handful towards the end of the manga that Sukuna actually respected these people and remembered their names. And it was a running joke towards the end of the manga that if Sukuna remembered your name, then you were cooked, bro. You were cooked. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video about that, and it's actually going to be pretty fun. But yeah, Mahito versus Yuji happened. Nanami, basically the good sensei to Yuji, the smart one who actually was teaching him a lot, got introduced because Gojo had to go on mission, so he needed to leave Yuji with somebody who could train him to get stronger. So Nanami taught him a lot about cursed energy and whatnot since Gojo was gone. Gojo was teaching him too, but Nanami did a really good job. And Nanami and Yuji basically went up against Mahito. That's when we got introduced to more domain expansions, because the first time I think we saw it was Jogo versus Gojo. Yeah, we basically got to see a couple different domain expansions during season 1. We got to see Mahito's growth as a curse spirit, because he's relatively young when it comes to battle and everything. Same thing with all of them, honestly. Yeah, I think that was pretty much the sum of it. Goodwill event was next, the Kyoto Sister School event, with the Kyoto school and the Tokyo school. Our main cast goes to the Tokyo school. The other guys in Kyoto, that's where Toto is, basically, and all the other sorcerers. So you have Panda, Maki, Toge, Yuta, Hikari, the other person that's with Hikari, Megami, Nobara, and Yuji in Tokyo, while you have Toto, Mekamaru, Kamo, Nishimiya, I think I said that right, Miwa, Mai, I think that's Nita, and somebody else, I believe. I forget. I think somebody else in Kyoto. Those are all the students in each school, basically. Damn, I think I'm missing somebody. Oh, well. It'll be alright. That being said, what's it called? Those two schools have, like, I think it's the top 5 or 6 students, or just, like... Oh, no. I'm lying. It's anybody who's not a third year. So, no, I'm lying again. It's the first years aren't allowed, second and third years are allowed, and then fourth years, because you could technically go up to year 4, they are not allowed as well. So, second and third years are supposed to be there, but the first years had to take over because the third years got suspended. So, it was the first and second years from Tokyo, and the second and third years from Kyoto. It's supposed to be 2 days of fighting, basically. The first day is team battles of going up against a cursed spirit, but also each other. And then the second day is singles, basically run the fades with each other, one-on-one. But it was just a shit show. So basically, the Goodwill event ended up being where the disaster cursed spirits attacked. We got to see Hollow Purple for the first time. It was great. Toto became best friends with Yuji, and also taught him a bunch, and this is basically where Yuji's growth ended in season 1, because he didn't really get much stronger. He just learned Black Flash, and that basically got him to where he needed to be in season 1, and then we saw him get stronger in season 2. But season 1, this is basically where he capped out, which is really good because, bro, he's been a sorcerer for like maybe 6 months at most, and he got really, really strong, bro. So, I mean, like, him and Toto went up against a special grade, so yes, very strong. That being said, they went up against Hanami. Hanami basically ran through all the students except for them. It was actually pretty fun watching the Goodwill event. I would say that besides Mahito being introduced, with the Mahito and Yuji rivalry and the Jogo and Gojo fight, this was probably the best portion of season 1. Yeah, I would say the Goodwill event was actually the best part of season 1. I would wholeheartedly say that. It was really fun watching the students go at each other, the planning, the plotting behind the scenes, the cursed spirits running around, the cursed users running around, because it was cursed spirits and cursed users attacking the school during the Goodwill event. The use of the veil, which was really cool. They didn't show it in the anime, but the veil that was coming down to stop Gojo from entering and stopping the cursed spirits and the cursed users actually had two, so the way that the veil works, the curtain or the veil, depending if you read the manga or you just watch the anime, it works as in like a shroud, like a shield type thing. Like, it's basically a barrier. It comes down and covers a specific area, right? What they did to stop Gojo from getting inside of it in time was that so you could focus on the actual barrier and then the appearance of the barrier. What they did was they prioritized the barrier and its effect and got that down first, while the appearance of the barrier still looked like it was coming down. So while the effect of the barrier already hit, it was still like right here, so it looked like you could get inside. But if you were Gojo, you actually couldn't, and he recognized that, but nobody else could because of his 6 eyes. He could see that. So that was really cool. That it explained it way better in the manga than it did in the show. But that being said, because Gojo basically just said I could just destroy it once it comes all the way down, which was not like it was already down. So I don't know why they just didn't, say that, but whatever, potato at this point. So the Goodwill event, and then the last thing that happened was the bridge mission, which was basically where Megami got his domain expansion. Incomplete domain, don't get excited, but it was still pretty cool. Honestly, it showed us one of the cooler things that the 10 shadow technique can do, is that once its domain comes out, the shadows, what's it called, you could make clones of the shadows. It was the coolest thing ever because it made you think like, what if you have two Pearson Ox in there? What if you have two Max Elephants in there? You know, like an entire elephant falling down on your opponent. That's crazy. Like New Way dropping elephants and whatnot. It could be crazy. So I just thought it was really cool. And then it showed Nobara and Yuji both hitting black flashes, facing off against a special grade each. And then they were able to exercise the special grades each. It also showed us, we were introduced to death painting. Was it death painting? It introduced us to death wound paintings. Which basically is what Chozo is, and his brother Ketchisu and Esso. Esu. I think it's Esso. I'm having a tough time remembering, but yeah, just take my word for it. But yeah, that's what they are. They're basically a cursed spirit and also a person, a human and cursed spirit DNA mixed together. Their backstory is messed up, but I'll get to that in their own separate video. I won't talk about too much. Just know that two of the three brothers were taken out by Nobara and Yuji, and Megami took out his own special grade that resembled the special grade that was in the prison rescue mission. All that being said, each of the students took out a special grade, which was really cool. And at the end of the season 1, Gojo basically paid Mei Mei and Toto. I think he only paid Mei Mei, but I think he just asked Toto, but he could have paid him. He's got money. Realistically, he fights in Prada shoes. So yeah, what's it called? He paid them to recommend all his students to grade 1 sorcerers, which is so cool of him as a sensei. Really awesome, because that means that they get paid more, that they could take on solo missions, and that they just get the respect they deserve. Awesome. And recognition because they took out special grades. Great sensei. All that being said, that's pretty much season 1 covered up in, quick gist. So yeah, like the video, subscribe. You're already here. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, subscribe. Come on. JJK Scholar, come on. We know this. This is what we do. Yeah, share it, comment, do it all. Alright, do it all. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video, alright? See ya.